All right. So my name is Jeff. I'm one of the organizers with Startup Junto here in Philadelphia. I have on with me Chris Carr. Chris is the founder and CEO of Farotech. So Chris, if you want to give a quick introduction.
Sure. Like I said, my name is Chris Carr. I started Farotech, it'll be 18 years ago in January. Sounds crazy, but it's been, coming close to 2 decades of doing digital marketing. Started as a web development company, moved into SEO and inbound marketing. And we service a number of different clients throughout the United States. Some of the predominant ones in Philadelphia are the Wharton School of Business, the Rothman Institute, Penn Medicine, Philadelphia Insurance Company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So Chris, why did you start Farotech? What made you decide to, start your own business?
Honestly, I stumbled into it. The funny story that I tell, my life was very different back then, as I had a girlfriend in college that was an artist, and I decided to see if I could create a website to win this girl back and put her artwork up online. And months later, after many failed attempts of trying to hire someone to do it for me, I just learned web development and never talked to the girl again, never got the girl back. But now here I am, 18 years later, with payroll that gives me kidney stones and all that stuff like that, Yeah. So absolutely crazy. Didn't expect to be here. Was a religious studies major out of Randolph-Macon. Spent time overseas doing working with developing countries, and then sort of just one thing led into another, and this was sort of born.
Yeah.
What
were you doing before Farotech? Anything?
Yeah, I did a lot of things. Right out of college, I lived in Honduras for almost a year. It was right after Hurricane Mitch, which was really kind of a scary time for that part of the country. I was building houses down there. Came home. My grandmother was sick at the time, so I wanted to kind of be there for the last chapter of her life, and just sort of got into work in the meantime, and then sort of got caught up in work, and went from there to selling vaccines for what was called SmithKline Beecham, which is now GlaxoSmithKline.
Yeah.
Left that and worked for the Vanguard Group until 2001, and started Farotech while I was working at the Vanguard Group, and kind of made the leap after around 2001 is when I made the leap, and crazy. It just it was like, I remember thinking, like, if my company could just make $2,000 or $3,000 a month, I should be okay.
Yeah.
And those were lofty goals back then.
Yeah.
One of the jokes I have is that in my first couple of years, I doubled my income every year, 3 years in a row. And
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's the joke is that when you start out so low, it's not too hard to double your income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you started Farotech, did you ever have any experience, running a business before this, and thinking about all the operations that go behind a startup? Or?
No, I did not. Kind of became obsessed with entrepreneurialism. Still am. Started this thing almost like being what Michael Gerber from the E-Myth would call just kind of like the technician, and then moved into management and ownership of my own company, even though I was sole proprietor. Eventually got some employees, and then when the employees sort of happened, it sort of was a paradigm shift on what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to grow this thing, and so on and so forth. And you start caring about people and their families, and you realize that your decisions and repercussions, impact a great deal of other people. It's kind of crazy. Like if I go 15 times, let's say hypothetically, if you look at the number of people that you know, if you figure that number of employees I have, if they all maybe even had just 2 family members, that's almost 200 lives that me and my business partner, my management team have to worry about every day with every decision,
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, the people is,
Yep.
a big part of the business, and managing that and understanding how your decisions affect their lives. And I've seen you have to go through the struggles of making those decisions, and sometimes they're good decisions that are going to have positive impacts, and sometimes the decisions that are just tough that any business owner doesn't want to have to make, but they have to make them. And that's such a huge consideration to make. And one of the difficult parts of being a company owner is being the decision maker, and it comes with all the glory and the sense of accomplishment, but then ultimately you have to take into account the other lives that you're affecting, because this isn't just people's part-time jobs where they're making a couple bucks on the side. This is supporting their families, supporting mortgages, putting kids through school. So
Yep. And you often find times that you eat last, meaning when checks don't come in from clients and stuff like that, you got to do payroll. I know multiple times where both my business partner and I had to go without pay to make sure that everybody else could get paid, to make sure that the ship kept moving. And I'm not saying that in a sad way or even a woe is me kind of way. I'm saying that when you start this thing, you don't think those days happen, and here we are even 18 years later, and things like that happen from time to time. We're in a much better spot now than we ever were. But the entrepreneurial life, or the startup phase, sorry, I thought I muted this. The startup phase, the pains don't go away, they just change. What I mean by that is, sorry, now I'm getting a light differential in the background. They just change. And I use an expression kind of like, for every level, there's another devil. The pains that I had when I first started my company were very real.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh at some of those pains now, but they were very real then. And then I have mentors that look at the pains that I have and they just laugh, like, you know what, like you haven't seen nothing yet, and it's kind of funny, but it's true. You know what I mean?
So,
one of the things I did want to say, and I apologize for that, I don't want to take too much of the glory for this. And what I mean by that is that I started a company because we had some really great ideas. We wanted to take those ideas and see if we could do really great things for our clients. But one of the main lessons, and I think I'll get to this later, is that I sort of learned not so much, I learned what I'm good at, but I especially learned what I'm not good at. And rather than trying to be all things for all people, I realized that, I have certain things that no matter how hard I try, it's just not going to be my skill set. And so I don't ever try to do my own plumbing at my house. I hire a decent plumber that I trust, and he comes in and he does the job.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think that a lot of people get scared of with entrepreneurialism is they think they have to know everything. Mm-hmm. And I say that you have to find people you trust, people you can count on, and then you need to basically step back and understand and let them do their job.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge importance of letting other people take responsibilities on, and you can't necessarily have your hands in every little piece. That's not to say, you shouldn't be approving things and just being blind to, what the operations going on within your company. But yeah, it's definitely, really important to understand that sometimes you just kind of have to let that go and let someone else take it over. Because, there's a saying, you never want to do work that's below your pay grade. And, as a company founder, if you have the resources to have somebody else working on something for you, and, somebody that could be more proficient at that and really become an expert in that one thing, you don't want to be spreading yourself too thin with accounting and business development and operations and human resources, because, there's so many aspects that go into a company. So,
yeah. And I think that's very true. I think you should have that on one hand, but then you should also, on the other hand, not wake up one day and think it's beneath you to take out your own trash, or I potted these plants today. Took me about an hour, which is a stupid thing to do. But my point is that
you always want to be in the trenches.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it other than 18 years later, and there's certain things that I don't know. It's just it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris, you were mentioning some stuff about mentorship and you said you have some mentors of your own. How did you go about acquiring the mentors that you have right now?
Well, I think that first off, you got to be proactive and know that you need that help. I find that just even having a 2-eye test on the things that we do is a really good idea.
What's the 2-eye test?
A 2-eye test is basically just someone that's reviewing your work, someone that just basically is outside of your company that can just see if the things that you're doing just pass the sniff test.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really great if they've had businesses before. I wouldn't go to a I don't even know, like a spin class or an athletic class taught by someone who was more overweight than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not a slam on. I'm trying to find a way to reel that back, but that's not a slam on individuals who are in process or in flux. But I choose my mentors as people who have been through the challenges that I'm at and have overcome. I don't look for people that just have great ideas or hope. Like, to me, you have to prove that you've been able to overcome the challenges that I've done. And so I pick my mentors very, what do you call it? I very selectively.
Yeah.
I'm more critical about that decision than I am on some of the things, like even just hiring my own employees, because there's things that I want them to see. There's synergy that has to happen. There's things that I need to be able to do. Like, as soon as I don't feel like you either know me, my company, or don't have us in the best interest, it's almost like I can't. Your advice bounces off. But when I find someone who is completely engaged, who just flat out gets it, I try to get every last drop out of them if I can. And what I've noticed is that there's a lot of individuals who have been given a lot, and so they feel like they're responsible to pass it on. And I've been blessed by that.
Yeah. So were your mentors, people that you met, organically? Were these like professional mentors that you seeked out?
So I have one mentor who's in Chicago. That happened a little bit more organically. I went to a course in Chicago called Strategic Coach. He sat next to me when I showed him my plan. It didn't look anything like his plan. Like, his viewpoint on how to conduct business, his viewpoint on wealth management, time management, all stuff like that was just next level. And what I did is I just sort of built a friendship with him, and he let me in. So that was one. Other things I do is we do the CEO think tank. It's sponsored by Wisvis, a bank, and we pay a lot of money for that mentorship. But the training and the teachers there are top notch, and they know how to. They ask the right questions. They know how to force leaders to lead, and we've been benefiting from that for the last 4 to 5 months, which has been good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about you growing the company, and when did you realize that you had to make the next step and hire your first employee or partner, for instance?
Well, from an employee standpoint, I realized that I don't have a ton of organizational prowess. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to sit down with a client and dream and vision cast and help them take concepts and turn them into a reality. That's the part I'm good at.
Yeah.
What I'm not good at is organizing the files on my computer. Sometimes even it sounds not on my computer, but I'm saying like on the project management. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
all of the ancillary stuff, like the small stuff that makes projects work. I'm good at the macro. I'm not good at the micro. I mean, very transparently, I haven't been responsible for my own email in 7 years. Sounds crazy. I mean, I read my email, but I need someone who's going to manage my calendar, make sure that emails aren't missed, make sure I get back to timely people. I mean, I'm on the road 60% of my time. At the same time, if I'm not on the road, I'm in a meeting talking, and I just spend most of my days talking, and doing all that stuff. So if I don't take the time to make sure that some of these really key ingredients are met, things slip through the cracks. And when that happens, sometimes you can lose a client over a really stupid email. And I'm not saying it happens a lot, but I just never wanted to be a victim to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good. So, recognize your weak points and areas where, you might not excel at. And, that's just goes along with, relinquishing some things to other people. But, ultimately that can help you grow, as an organization, because more people know what's going on and there's more transparency going on within the company. And, there's someone there as a backup, if you're the only one that's ever seeing all communication that's coming directly to you, that can be, if you're sick or something happens, or, you never know if you get stranded on the side of the road somewhere and your phone dies for 4 hours and you got a really ticked off client who needs answers immediately. That's a great example of when, it's good to have someone else there, as a backup, for your position essentially. So,
I mean, lifestyle choices too, is that my business partner and I we're about 40 minutes each away from each other, 45 minutes away from each other without traffic. But when you add morning traffic and afternoon traffic, in theory, we're 2 hours away from each other. So our office is in Conshohocken, which is the middle point between where I live north of the city and where he lives in Exton, Downingtown area. And so my assistant helps me utilize my drive time really well. Do all my email and my correspondence while I'm on the road. And I relay the information I have to her, and then she sends it out to my clients. So that's been a good thing. Most of the time, what I've done is my assistant has been one of my newer project managers. And the reason why is because it forces them to sort of learn how I feel about marketing, how I communicate to my clients, the words I use, the vocab I use.
Yeah.
It's kind of like baptism by fire. And what I find is that the project managers who have worked under me, even though they hate it, I'm sure they do. I'm the hardest client they'll ever have. Is that they start mimicking like the way I talk, the way we talk as a company, quicker than if you have to learn it a little bit more organically.
Yeah. Yeah. And it creates a consistent feel. And your clients always know what to expect. And, they're not like, oh, I hate working with this person from Farotech, but I really like working with this person from Farotech. It kind of has everybody on the same page. You want to maintain individuality, but at the same time, having a consistent, almost like personality to the company is definitely important, so that your customers know what to expect, and, your clients can trust you, and, they know what they're going to get, every time. And, they know every communication, they know what to expect, whether it's deliverables, timeframes, even how quickly you respond as well, is definitely important, because it's just sets expectations. And then, some people, live by those expectations, and when they're not met, it can hurt relationships pretty bad.
We measure our expectations. Like, for example, let's say hypothetically I went and I sold a product or service to you, and I got you really excited, and it was January 1st. Mm-hmm. Get the proposal out to you till January 10th. Now you have that scenario. Now let's say I did that same exact scenario, and I got you excited on the 1st, and then I got you the proposal on the 4th. I have a way higher likelihood of converting you if I get the proposal to you exactly while you're excited about the project. Yeah. If you let it breathe or you let it go too long, you have to re-energize them. You got to re-excite them, and it dramatically affects our conversion rates. And so, if you're trying to look for some gem to say, it's like people that say don't sweat the small stuff have never been in marketing and sales, because it's all the small stuff. Yeah. And if you don't have time to measure it, then hire a company like us, because we'll do it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And measurement is a huge part, of any business. And, everything that you do, it's, definitely important to be able to measure that, because you need to understand the investment that's going into it, the return that you're getting on that investment. Because if you're not measuring, you're just shooting blind, and, hoping for the best is only going to get you so far. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is just that I measure some of the smallest things you'd ever imagine, but I feel like they matter. Like, for example, I measure how many referrals I give out, not the ones I get, how many I give out. And I look at a ratio between how many opportunities I can give others compared to how many I get back.
Mm-hmm.
And on average, it's about 13 to 1. And so when I need a new sale or I need a new opportunity, I try to hunt, but I also try to give. And
Yeah.
whether it's the rule of reciprocity or whatever it is, rule of reciprocity. Okay, I'm trying. Or whatever it is, when you give, you get. And
yeah, reciprocates ultimately.
Yeah, I've been too long. I've been doing this too long to say it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, referrals are going to be some of your highest converting leads that come in because they came in if there's someone that they knew. They're not just calling you up blindly saying like who's someone who has to learn about you. There's already some rapport that's built and trust because they found you through a referral network. And that's huge, building relationships not just within your industry but outside of your industry. It doesn't matter who it is because especially with marketing, for example, every industry needs marketing. So, it's important to establish those relationships with people, across, industries and other businesses, because you never know when, that referral is going to come into you. So it's definitely important to find those people that you trust you can refer a business to. And, ultimately, like you said, they're going to reciprocate that at some point or another. It's just a matter of time. And, that's your easiest business right there is, all you had to do is nurture a relationship and, then they come to you.
Yeah. I mean, like that's what I've experienced. Yeah. I mean, like you've seen my presentation a number of different times. I mean, so let's just look at some of the highlights here. I look at your buyer's journey and I give you tons of statistics on why you need to segment your audience or your list into bite-sized pieces. I give you data on that. I look at usability conversion analysis, which basically means I look at every heat map and every single movement the clients do on your website. I measure all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You data on that. I go into SEO and I show you every single thing data-driven so that you score and generate more leads. I give you an entire nurturing process. I put cookies on the computers of your customers and I track everywhere they go. I keep my name current with them in social media, so my ads follow them wherever they go. And I analyze every piece of data through Google Analytics. And yet, people say, I don't know whether I can trust you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't trust me, but I'm saying, and yet someone gives a warm lead, and all of a sudden the doors and the arms are wide open because you knew a guy.
Exactly.
It's bizarre. You know what I mean? Like, just because I know Bob, it actually gives me less right to walk through the door. But at the end of the day, those warm referrals actually do mean a lot. And so as a marketing company, one of the things that I tell my clients and what I fear that they won't do is trust the marketing company so much that they don't keep the main thing the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know many businesses that are not a relational based sport. They just aren't.
Yeah.
Whether orthopedic surgeon or whether you sell tennis rackets or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
The clients who crush it are the clients that know people, that love on people, that care, that are genuine and real. I mean, at least that's in my opinion, or that's the people I want to buy from.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it doesn't matter what industry, or, what market you're targeting. It's, most businesses within an industry essentially have the same features. Most will offer the same services. It doesn't really matter what the industry is, but ultimately it's the experience of that client with their service provider or the person who they're buying products from. And that's one of the biggest things that's really going to make that business relationship last. And it's that human connection. And you can't just pound home like, oh, we can do this for you, we can do this for you. But it's how they experience that. And starting with a referral with someone that they trust can really put you, like you said, a huge step ahead. And there's that that big barrier, that big stepping stone that they don't have to overcome now. So it's definitely important to establish those relationships, and referral networks are the easiest sales to acquire essentially. So
yeah, I do. I believe in them thoroughly. However, it matters what your growth goals are too. And what I mean by that is that is that you can be a company and you can run a certain level of success by doing a really great job, and then other people refer more and more business to you. But if you want to become a company that's over, let's just say hypothetically, over 2 million, you're going to have to probably branch out to find individuals and customers, potential clients that don't know you even exist.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you don't have a formalized way of generating leads and nurturing leads and converting leads into brand ambassadors, if you don't have that, you're only going to go so high. And there's just relationships are all come down to how much time do you have to invest. All right, meaning it's not scalable. And yet, let's say hypothetically you created a Facebook ad and put a decent budget behind it, and it's working 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. If you get the methods right and you get the approach right, stuff like that, you could definitely scale yourself considerably more when you have a bona fide marketing campaign behind what you're doing, basically not off screen, but in the background. So what's weird here is that eventually you have to sell that client. And so if you have genuine, real people know how to get results, know how to talk to your clients, and know how to shape campaigns and do innovative stuff, you're going to do great. But you are really good at marketing. But when the horse gets to the well, you don't great. So, marketing doesn't always save the day, but it helps a lot.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, and that's and meeting a lot of startup founders. Marketing is one thing that is a weak point for a lot of people because they're generating the idea or the service or the product for their company, and some people just don't know the first thing to do with marketing. So and that can be their next big stepping stone. They might have only been relying on relationships and referrals to grow their business, and they haven't taken that next step to reach that audience that doesn't know about them and create the awareness about their brand. So that definitely is
it matters what their growth goals are. Is your business a lifestyle business? Do you want to grow in a certain way? Like, for example, my company, do we want to grow? Absolutely. Do we want to grow to a point where our quality of life is too low? No. Do we grow and have clients we don't like, but they pay a lot of money? No. So it really matters what your growth goals are. Would we as a company like to have a whole lot more money? Yeah. Would we like to, but would we rather make decent money but work with clients that we love? Probably.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit I've had over 18 years is that I haven't had to be desperate lately, and that has allowed me to have clients I want rather than clients that I need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I still need them, but I think you understand what I mean.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and some of those clients where is it going to be too big of a headache to work with them, regardless of how much money they want to throw at you for your services? Ultimately, is it going to be worth it? It's financially it might, but you have to look at your personal life and your own sense of sanity, and make sure that you're not going to be pulling your hair out with this client, because it doesn't matter if they're giving you an extra couple $100,000 in revenue a year. If it makes your team miserable, and that can directly affect your company and the quality of work. And
it absolutely can. I mean, I have the luxury of saying, and this sounds very pomp, but I've had a moment in my life where I could say to a client, I wouldn't work for you for $1 million.
Yeah.
And that was a hard call that we had to make, and we made it as a company. But that was a real reality for us. Is that we made some hard decisions to let go of a client that wasn't a great fit, because our synergy not only affects our relationship with you and me. Me and you as the client, but it affects all my other clients.
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to know what you want. I went into that client relationship because the money was fantastic, and I got out of that relationship because there's more to life than money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you definitely need to maintain your work-life balance, because if you're not, we're not living to work, so we're working to live.
I mean, the other thing too is that we work just as hard on culture here at Farotech as we do on our clients.
Mm-hmm.
You want a place that you're going to probably spend more of your life at work than you are at home, possibly.
Yeah.
So I don't want to work. I don't want to work at a company. I don't want to create a company where people work for me that they just don't want to be at. That it's a chore, that it's drudgery and stuff like that. Now I want people to work their ass off for me. So I'm not going to make it any harder for them to do that. I mean, I've got guys that got to bring their job home with them at night. I got people that got to take it home with them on weekends. Adding a whole nother layer on top of that, where it's just like you're working for a client as a slave driver. It just at the end of the day, nobody wins. And so we've had the luxury of choosing clients who allow us to create a win-win.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Chris. So we're just coming up on time here. We all the startup founders that take part in the series, we give you a 30-second shameless plug here at the end, where you can just give a little just a little promotion on your company, what you guys offer, how they can contact you.
Sure. Well, Farotech is an inbound marketing company. We specialize in generating leads and nurturing leads and converting leads. But what we do is just imagine your company having a system where the company that's working for you knows how to use SEO to the highest levels, knows how to use social media to the highest levels, and generates a ton of qualified traffic to your website, and then builds a system where those potential clients come to your website and engage with your website, and you're able to track every movement that they do on your website, off your website, and every time they've engaged with your brand. So you wake up one day knowing exactly what your potential clients think about you, what they think about your company, what they think about your products, and think about your services. Every single day, that moment, that epiphany of knowing lead intelligence is just something that so few companies do. We're able to help some of the biggest brands in the United States do that. And when they do, for one, they don't leave us, but two, it transforms how they operate. It transforms how they look at their customers, and they get really, really great results.
Yes, that's awesome.
That's the plug that I have. Is there's a better and smarter way of doing all this, and give me an hour of your time, and I'll show you.
Awesome. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
If you go to www.farotech.com, that is our website. I do a monthly webinar to orthopedic surgeons. I do a monthly webinar for businesses, but probably the contact us section of our website.
Okay.
Email me. My name is Chris Carr. You can email me at ccarr@farotech.com. So it's ccarr@farotech.com.
Okay, cool. And we'll include all that information in the the info section of the video below for people to get in contact with you directly then. So.
Okay.
All right,
sure.
Chris.
Thanks.
Thanks for taking the time today. This is going to be going up on our YouTube channel as well as our website, and we're going to be having some new interviews, a couple interviews a week that we're going to be posting up for startup founders from across the industry. So thanks again for taking the time today, and have a great day.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Chris.